What's good, everybody? It's your brother Nubreed coming through with another live stream. So they reopened the government. Unfortunately, that means people are going to close their eyes. See, ladies and gentlemen, the trap is already in motion. After 40 days and 40 nights of testing on the American citizens, they reopen the government and people get rocked right back to sleep. Just like clockwork. See, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely got to chop it up. As you enter the broadcast, hit the like button on your way in. See, ladies and gentlemen, policies was being changed. More stringent rules and regulations were being put in place. More surveillance, more management. And there was a test happening within these 40 days and 40 nights. See, there was a ritual going on in our U.S. government. And all of this is planned in advance. Everything they do is planned in advance. What was the test? To see how far they can bend the American citizens to find a breaking point, while using hunger as a leverage. They wanted to see just how reliant the people are on the same system that oppresses the people. Yep. And now you got some people out there, they have a sigh of relief. Why? Because the government is back open, and the government essentially has become their God. Oh yeah. See, those in the truth, government shut down or not shut down, we connected with the Heavenly Father. We connected with the Holy Spirit. We're not worried about that. We're already on the verge of self-sufficiency and independence and going our own way. Why? Because we already know that the government ain't for us anyway. But those who serve the government as God, those who serve politicians, those who serve man, those who worship Trump, they're relieved. As if Donald Trump couldn't reopen the government at any given moment. They was blaming liberals. They was blaming this. They was blaming that. As if Trump couldn't have made a unilateral decision as the president to reopen the government. The system shut down for 40 days and 40 nights because they were doing what? Playing God. That's what they were doing. See, the numerology is very significant with these rituals. See, they're taking biblical principles and they're inverting them. That's what happened. So during the 40 days and 40 nights, now I want y'all to tell me, pop quiz, what happened in 40 days and 40 nights biblically? Put it in the chat. I'll give you a hint. It regards our Messiah. What did he do for 40 days and 40 nights? He what? He fasted. Ding, ding, ding. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. The government took SNAP benefits and resources for 40 days and for 40 nights. You beginning to see the outright disrespect, how the government and the powers that be have the uncanny ability to do things that are straight up satanic and demonic right in our faces, and the mass majority don't see it. Oh, but we can see it. Yeah, he was fasting. So what did they do? Involuntarily make people fast. Involuntarily play the role as a Messiah figure. Involuntarily play the role as the well, let's use it this way. You're in an antichrist system. It's antichrist. You're dealing with Luciferians who practice the Jesuit order, and they also practice numerology. So you have the government reopen an act of Senate to make this very clear. The government is reopened, and it's no thanks to Donald Trump. In fact, when a federal judge, a melanated sister, a melanated foundational Black American judge, gave the order for him to run those SNAP benefits back a few days earlier than the 40 days or 40 nights, he went in for an appeal, right? Stretched it out for approximately 48 more hours. And then what? He even tried to get them to bring the stamps back. It was that important to starve the people out for 40 days. Exactly. That he tried to get grocery stores hemmed up. He tried to get the stamps. He tried to get SNAP to basically run them snaps back to the government. They had to complete the ritual. So the government was reopened, but it was no thanks to Donald Trump. Make no mistake about that. It had to be an act of Senate. But of course, they all in on it. They all in on it. Once you just take the blinders off, you can see. They always calling us conspiracy theorists. Only because they don't want to believe that you have these manipulative, conniving, cunning, meticulous Luciferians who play these type of games with the general public, but it's the reality of the situation. The trap has already been put in motion. What was the trap, Breed? I see Sister 1973 sharing them scriptures. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to that. What was the trap, Breed? Well, it should be apparent. To make people accept any solution the government give you. Problem, reaction, solution. It's the same play every single time with these people. They create the problem. Oh, Democrats and Republicans are at a stalemate. They can't make a decision. You get the reaction from the people crashing out, people hungry. Food banks are running out of food. It's a problem. Then who turns around and ends up the solution? The same people who created the damn problem. Can't you see they want you wrapped up in their matrix? Let me share it. Let me read this scripture right here. Psalms 11:2. For see, the wicked are bending the bow. They make ready the arrow upon the string, that they furtively in darkness may shoot at the upright in heart. Exactly. Exactly. See, it's all a plot. It's all a scheme to target God's true seers. Because make no mistake about it, we some seers. Oh, we know what's going on. And look, they gave you 40 days and 40 nights of what? Hunger. It was a beta test to see how quickly things would sprawl out of control. This is what they do. And the government shutdown was only phase 1. That was phase 1. So people can do what? Get a false sense of security. There's always a calm before the storm. And some people would say, well, Nubreed, this is deep. What you talking about? Well, listen, you're dealing with people who are very esoteric with their practices. The Bible says we battle not against flesh and blood, but wickedness and principalities in high places. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, those of the light, we're battling against systems. Systems. It's a hierarchy of darkness that operates. Because why? The Most High said he would give the world over into the hands of the wicked, but only for a short amount of time. They only have this for a certain amount of time, right? Their time is running out. And God's people we're gonna be good nonetheless. I tell y'all that all the time. It's judgment for the heathens right now. So they have to ramp up their rituals. This was planned. 40 days, 40 nights. We're going to shut the government down. We're going to change policies. We're going to put certain things in place. And the trap is already going to be in motion. You got preachers and pastors right now celebrating the government being reopened instead of warning the people not to rely on the government. Let me see. Thank you for the support. Sister 1973 says, your eye on the Lord, ? But my eyes towards you, O God. My Lord, in you I seek refuge. Leave me not defenseless. That's Psalms 121:1. That's right. See, our eyes is on the Most High. Our eyes is not on the government. Well, let me clarify this. We are not ignorant to Satan's devices. So we're watching what's going on. Oh, we know the games they play. We see the manipulation. We see how they pull the wool over people's eyes. Oh, we're not ignorant to what they got going on, not at all. But our focal point is the Creator. Yeah. 40 days and 40 nights. Oh yeah, it was a plan. It was a scheme. It was a ritual. Meanwhile, our president was traveling abroad, building ballrooms in the White House, lending millions in foreign aid while the people were starving. And see, you're living in a country that don't care about the poor. They don't care about the needy. And that's why judgment got to come to such a place. See, the trap is in motion for the next what? The next crisis. That's what's coming. How many of y'all notice that time is speeding up? How many of y'all have noticed that Trump has only been in office for what, 8 months? And it seemed like 2 to 3 years worth of events have taken place in just 8 months. How many of y'all noticed that? Why is that happening? If the Most High did not shorten the time, no flesh would survive. He's been in for 10 months. Thank you. I stand corrected. But nonetheless, it feels like years worth of events have taken place in just 10 months. And then there's a conversation, and I'm about to give y'all some real insider information. Only on Nubreed Global Truth you're gonna get this truth just like this. But let me tell you, let me say this. They're talking about running some stimulus checks for about $2,100 to American citizens, right? Of course, it's only a selected group of people. They're very unclear who will receive this money, these funds, right? But I want y'all to understand that even if they really pay that out, even if they really distribute that, I want y'all to understand that that's pacification as well. That's bribe money. Bribe money, Bree, what do you mean bribe money? Yeah, it's bribe money. You will be getting $2,000, but the elite will be getting millions and billions or more dollars. See, there's something that they got brewing with the crypto coin. Do your research. It will be straight bribery, pacification. Like, look, I gave you this just so they can align their pockets while changing currency right underneath our noses. So you got to understand, anytime they give you something, there's a reason. They're not going to just give you $2,000 because they love you. Oh, the government just loves us and they want to give us $2,000. No. Do your research. There's a huge cash grab going on. A huge cash grab going on. And if you in the know, hey, you going to make certain moves. You're going to make certain moves. Hey, if you know, you know. Let's just say, I know. I'm telling you, you gotta pay attention. Don't get comfortable in this system. If they do give you that stimmy, invest it somehow, some way. Invest it towards self-sufficiency somehow, some way. Because people are gonna go right back to sleep. The government's reopened, people gonna go right back to sleep. When it was shut down, when they took food, when they cut the food supply, it should have set off a light bulb in everyone's head that, you know what, we got to become more self-sufficient. We got to network with like-minded people. We got to pay attention to our neighbors. We got to surround ourselves with people we can trust. We got to get out of highly concentrated areas. Because I'm telling you, 2 more weeks of that shutdown, you would have started to see more. You would have started to see more desperation break free. Don't lose touch of the real reality of this country. Somebody said, what is self-sufficiency in a rigged environment? That's an excellent question. That means you need to change your environment. If you're in a rigged environment, there will be no self-sufficiency. What's going on, Baba Ronson? Peace to you, my brother. Salute to the elder. They gave us 40 days and 40 nights in a satanic ritual mocking Christ. This antichrist system mocked Christ. When he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, the government said, I'm going to starve the people for 40 days and 40 nights. See, the number 40 is very significant in biblical numerology as well as their numerology. See, these people are in the 40-40 club. These are elitists who plot world domination. Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of a movie. I know. But what I'm giving you is the truth. Reese, thank you for the support. Somebody said it means something. It definitely means something. You living in an antichrist system. This is Mystery Babylon. And they're on the verge of issuing out the mark of the beast. That's what's happening. Let me see. Somebody says we need to not depend on stamps and housing in Section 8, depending on the Most High. It says learn to make your own bread and stop eating out. That's some good advice. That's some good advice. Yeah. What just happened is they're setting the stage for the next crisis. And next, what they're working on, mark my words, look out for the blackouts. Look out for the blackouts. Look out for 0 day. 0 day. You know, they're always going to continue to throw. See, look, I'm telling you, when you play this stream back a few months from now, y'all gonna be like, man, Breed be on it. Look out for 0 day. Look out for the cyber attacks. Pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. Now there's going to be another issue, another crisis that they have to deal with. And according to the timeline they're operating on, they're going to be trying to figure out 2 things. Now, just because they try these things don't mean they're going to work, and don't mean they last long. They try different things. They throw a bunch of ish on the wall and see what sticks. There's 2 things you got to look out for. Number 1, they're going to try to figure out how to roll out universal basic income. Now that the trap has already been put in motion, what they do next is they have more stringent rules and regulations with SNAP benefits, so on and so forth. Now to end fraud, because now Trump is going to go on this huge campaign about frauding the system. Fraud when it comes to getting subsidized living, Section 8, so on and so forth. In order to avoid fraud, they're going to have to come up with something different. Universal basic income would be the solution. This is something that Elon Musk spoke about quite a few times, where he said, because of our artificial intelligence, people will have a choice to work or not, and there will be some kind of universal basic income distributed to everyone. Everyone, of course, who bows to the beast system. And it's interesting that we can go right to our world leaders saying these things, but when we're crying aloud to our people, shouting from the rooftop, blowing the trumpet, they don't want to hear it. Somebody says, you are not a psychic, you are wrong. I'm not claiming to be a psychic. What I'm doing is making astute observations and predictions based on what your world leaders say. And that's what I'm talking about right there. When they say it out their mouths, you ignore it. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, about to be a trillionaire. So when I'm saying these things to you, it's not that I'm trying to be a psychic, but what I'm telling you is I have the insight because I study what our enemies and adversaries say. And based on the moves they make, I'm paying attention. It's called having the eyes to see. It's called being a watcher. It's called having discernment. It's called paying attention to your surroundings. Something that all of us should have, something that all of us should practice. But see, it troubles some of these people when they hear this. It troubles them. It leaves a bad feeling in their gut. Why? Because they don't have the Creator. If you're not living in sin, if you're not wicked, if you're on the side of righteousness, the truth shall set you free. Yeah, this stuff is right in our faces. Here you have the government that just shut down for 40 days and 40 nights. And now that they're reopened, people gonna have this false sense of security. Nah, you're not about to rock me back to sleep. The government open, people's eyes closed. Why? Because that's their God. Government is their God. They who give the rations. Look, I'm telling you. Yeah, somebody said the people are going to get comfortable again for the holidays. That's right. You got people getting ready for the holidays now. Back to sleep, they go. Back to sleep, they go. See, Thanksgiving is coming up, which will be another ritual in itself. If you keep in Thanksgiving, you're celebrating the death, you're celebrating the genocide of the foundational Black Indians that were here, our people. Oh, make no mistake about it, the Indians that was here, those are our people. When they came over here, when Christopher Columbus came over here, he graped They raped, mutilated, pillaged, destroyed, and then they called it Thanksgiving. Thanks for giving us your land. When you sit down and eat that Thanksgiving turkey with stuffing, that represents the sacrifice, because guess what? These people were cannibals too. These people were cannibals. They were making sport out of our people. And yes, the Indians were black people, in case you don't know. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't Indians with different shades, because you know us melanated people come in different shades and colors, different hair texture, different eye color, all of it. But they were still black Indians, indigenous to the land. In Christopher Columbus' memoirs, when he pulled up on the shores, he said that the Indians were speaking ancient Phoenician Hebrew. In Christopher Columbus' memoirs, on one of the first pages of his memoirs, it says that. But people gonna go right back to sleep, celebrate their own slaughter, celebrate their own genocide. Yeah, those are our people. The Chickasaw people, the Cherokee. Those are our people. Now, look, I can tell you this right now. People gonna go right back to sleep, participate in the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, which is just downright pagan. Yep, somebody says, oh, that's not what we think about while we eat. It was 100 years ago. Yep, that's exactly how people gonna be. Oh, we just gathering with I meant to say the Chickasaw, my bad. Pronounced that wrong. But yeah, that's what people gonna do. Oh, you know, that was a long time ago. You know, we just gathering for family. We just, look, you got 360 something odd days out of the year to gather with your family. Why I gotta be on a celebration that the heathens created? Why? Why do we always, yeah, the Choctaw Indians, why do we always gotta be under their ruling thumb with our culture? Yep, Blackfoot, the Seminole Indians. Yeah, them are our people. Look, we got some Choctaws in the building. You know what I'm saying? And look, our people are still around. How you think they feel when they seeing everybody go to the grocery store, grab turkeys and cranberry sauce and celebrate the death of their people? How do you think they feel? These people are still walking around. Our people. Yep, you got the Barikwa Thai Hindu Indians. These are aboriginals, indigenous to the land. The Gullah Geechees, coming out the Gullah Geechee corridors. Yeah, it's a outright mockery. It's a mockery. But see, what the government just did was it reeled people back in. It reeled people back into their deep sleep. It reeled them back into their oppression. See, what the government did is psychological warfare. It was testing. It was ideological subversion. using one of the most powerful motivators and mechanisms they can use. What's that? Food, hunger. In order to warp and distort the minds of the people to what? Bring them into total dependence. See, they incrementally chip away at the psyches of the people using various tactics and methods. And the code is to do what? Make people totally dependent and reliant on government. The 40 days and 40 nights was symbolic. It was a play, it was an antichrist play. Let me see. I'm going to read this scripture here. Leviticus 18:3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do. After the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk. Right, you're not supposed to be following the ways of the heathens. We got Blackfoots in the building. We got all of our Indian brothers and sisters in the building. All our Aboriginals, all our indigenous people in the building. Yeah, dangling the so-called $2,000 in front of people. And we don't know who gonna get it and who not, who gonna get it, who's qualified and who's not. Giving pacification, knowing people need it. Like I said, even if they give that 2 bands, that's bribery. That's hush money. Yeah, you know, look, we might have, listen, we might have stole a whole lot more from the American citizens through tariffs, because that's how they got it. They, oh man, them billionaires line their pockets up off them tariffs. But look, we gonna hush y'all. We gonna throw y'all a little chump change. We're gonna throw y'all some chump change. Meanwhile, we're gonna be lining our pockets more with this crypto. And while y'all are being pacified, we over here making power moves, changing currency as we know it, making these investments that's already rigged to win on our behalf, because we already got members of our cabinet and group who are creating the coins. We're gonna make sure, listen, we're gonna make sure all our money laundering schemes, all our stock market manipulation works, and we're gonna toss y'all $2,000 to just be quiet and not pay attention to what we're doing. That's what the government doing to you, to the people. Let me see. He says, but we can't feed our people. You could feed your people if you come together with your people. Get some land with your people. Plant some gardens. See, for every problem, there is a solution. And see, the government is reopened, but a lot of damage has already been done. There's still a lot of federal employees without a job, and they're not getting their jobs back. Now, of course, the federal employees who were furloughed, some of them may be getting some paychecks, but the damage is done. Because the next thing the Sambos and the raccoons and the white supremacists and dirty MAGA The next thing they gonna do is glaze Donald Trump. They're gonna glaze the government. They're gonna say, see. They're gonna say, see. All those people who speak in consciousness and speak in truth to power, see, they were speaking doom and gloom because the government is reopened. Oh, you fool. They're foolish. It's almost incomprehensible how sleep people can be. And y'all gotta do me a solid. Y'all gotta get them light up on the video. It's definitely time to align with what's true. Let me see. Yeah, Tamika says you can't tell them nothing. Right. Galatians 6:10, which states, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. Absolutely. See, let me tell y'all. You got to start paying attention to the World Economic Forums. There's a lot of caveats and nuances that are on the horizon. The World Economic Forums, they really are just telling you exactly what's going to happen. And you can look for these cyber attacks because they do these modules. And I call them a module because it's like it's a test. It's like they do these. It's a word for it, man. It's a word for it. I'm losing track of that word. But they the same thing with the pandemic. It's like they tell you exactly what they're gonna do, and then they do it. Yeah, somebody called it a mock trial. That's a good way of saying it. But there's another word. There's an actual word that they use for it. Simulation will be the word. Simulation. I think CJ hit it. He got it right. They do these simulations that are ultra realistic. And I mean, they have all the answers in a simulation, and they give the data, the statistics, how people gonna respond, and it's just straight up predictive programming. And when you paying attention, you can see what's next. And then it's always aligned scripturally what the overall goal is. What's the overall goal? Destabilize the nations. Get people under complete rulership. Manipulate the people, that's right. And it's all to get us to be subservient. That's what it's always been about. And I say all of that to say this. We have to be ahead of the curve with how we move, how we maneuver. Let me see. Somebody says C-19 was the beta test. We are now deep in the program, New World Order in full effect. Yeah, it definitely was the beta test. It definitely was the beta test. And let me tell you something. That was just the beginning. Now they're going to have more talks on war. You had Russia and America pretty much, testing nukes in competition with each other. That was just a huge flex. But I'm gonna tell you this: Iran ain't done with America. Iran ain't done with America. Let me see. Daniel 12:10. Many will be purified, made spotless, and refined, but the wicked will continue to act wickedly. None of the wicked will understand, but the wise will understand. Make sure you're sharing that KJV. Yeah, they'll remain blinded. They'll remain confounded. Let me see. Let me see. Auntie Punchy says, bro, you live in fear. Be prepared for emergencies. I don't live in fear. I survived and was raised by survivors in 1910. There's not a fearful in my body, man. Let me make this very clear. And I'm glad somebody said something like that. For the record, I want the world to end. So that I'm perfectly clear, I want the world as we know it to end. I want it to end. I don't want no new world order. I want a brew world order. I want to live in a world where my people rule it. So the sooner God judges this wicked, abominable place, the sooner these things completely fall apart is the sooner that our people rule. Burn, baby, burn. Do that sound like somebody who's scared, Auntie? Or does this sound like somebody who know what they did to my Messiah? Does this sound like somebody who knows how evil and wicked they are? Does this sound like does this sound like somebody who knows what they did to the saints? No, you're not dealing with no fear over here. No. I think you got me mistaken. See, the people who are really afraid are afraid to digest what's true. See, when I do these streams, there's people who are new to the platform. There's people who just scrolling YouTube. There's people who's coming around and they don't know the information I'm giving. And a lot of people, they be grateful to hear this because the spirit of truth resonates with them. Yeah, we not afraid in here, man. Respectfully. You know, people, Nubreed wants America to fall. Yeah, I do. I do. And not in the sense of I want somebody to commit some atrocities or go out here and rebel against the system and bang against the system. No. We battle not against flesh and blood. It's a spiritual battle. But I want Babylon to pay. And I want it to be divine intervention. I want divine intervention to reset this system, because we have devils and demons, witches and warlocks, and sadists running things. That's just the truth. Let me see. John 4:18, which states that there is no fear, because fear has to do with punishment. That's right. There's no fear in love. Look, I love my people, and I hate Satan's system. I love my people. I hate Satan's system. Can't get no clearer than that. The inmates are running the asylum. Let me see. Somebody says, you give good scopes. Not everything you say is accurate, but who's perfect? No one comes on lift up. Well, that's the reason you're supposed to fact check everything. And that's a blanket statement. If it's something that's inaccurate, you got to voice, what did I say that was inaccurate? See, more often than not, people want to discredit what's being said. But you can't discredit what's true. What's true is your government shut down for 40 days and 40 nights as a satanic antichrist ritual. Only to keep people dependent, reliant, and rock back to sleep. That's just the truth. Let me see. Somebody says Christ is king. Absolutely he is. Somebody says, while we are gathered here today, we all need to pray together that the Lord provides all the food. Well, let me make this clear. There has to come a time as people in truth where we start actually being action oriented. Meaning if somebody not feeding you right, go make your own table. Now I'm all for prayer, and we supposed to rely on the Most High for our daily bread. But I want to say this. In the future of Babylon, there has to come a time where we say to ourselves, you know what? In case they would stop these food trucks from running, there's some type of blackout, there's some type of cyber attack, you know, after they make sure all the trucking industry, import, export, transport is all automated AI. There has to come a time where we say, you know what? We got to come together and plant our own gardens, get our own cattle, do what we need to do. A lot of the other nations are already doing this. Some of our people are doing it too. Now, salute to the brothers and sisters who are getting their homestead together, who are getting their communities together. I applaud that. That's something that I've been diligently working on myself behind the scenes. Just me and a few families. Just me and a few families. Got some land. We go visit that land, work on it, do what we do. I ain't giving too much info, but I'm just saying the things I talk about are things I actually do. It's not just me talking. These are things I do. But I recommend that. And you can start all small, make a little garden in your home. Learn. Prepare, buy some seeds. See, people, and look, I talk about solutions. You see, that's when the numbers drop off. That's when they start manipulating that algorithm. They're like, yo, just talk about the problems. We want to hear about the problems. Oh, this nigga over here talking about solutions. They don't like it. Y'all notice that. It was 1,000 people. As soon as I started talking about solutions, they dropped 200. Like clockwork. They don't like the solutions. See, this is not the typical channel that's going to come over here and just be talking about problems. This is a solution-oriented channel. They don't like that. Let me see. Hebrews 12 and 11. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Let me read that again, because people don't like to be uncomfortable. and well-doing. They don't like to be uncomfortable and working earnestly towards something. Hebrews 12 and 11. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Exactly. What happened there? Got dark for a second, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody wants to actually work towards being self-sufficient because it's difficult. But you got to look at it. That's why we're in the condition we in. Now, don't make no mistake about it. Let me say this as well. Our people work very hard already. We built America. We built America. So I understand partaking in the luxuries and liberties that is granted to us because we earned it. Our ancestors worked and built for it. You know, we deserve our liberties, our perks, our comforts. Our ancestors worked so we can have those things. Let me be very clear about that. But, not even but, however, our names aren't on anything. Meaning, yes, we've worked to place ourselves in a position where we can't be deported. We got the 14th Amendment put in office. We work diligently in different slave revolts to get some levels of respect where we have a foundational stock in the land of America. But they didn't give us no tangibles. They didn't give us no tangibles. They didn't give us nothing with our names on it. They didn't give us nothing to produce any generational wealth. That's something we got to do on our own. And land is invaluable. Having farms is invaluable. Gold and silver, invaluable. That is how you set up the generational wealth. So there's levels to it. You got some people who are complacent with just enjoying the perks, but they don't see nothing further from that. Malcolm X says the future is for those who prepare for it. See, God's chosen people, we are gifted and cursed with the ability to see things for what they are. And we are gifted and cursed with the ability to see what life is supposed to be like. And that's what makes us uncomfortable with how things are. I have nice things. Nice home, nice vehicles, nice clothes, PlayStations, TVs. But it's something in me that makes me desire what I'm owed. I'm not satisfied with just having nice things. I want generational wealth for who? My children's children. The Bible says a righteous man leave an inheritance for his children's children. I like to build with people who are not satisfied, because to be satisfied is to be pacified. To be satisfied is to be stagnant. I like to deal with people who know their birthright and they want what's theirs. I don't want a bunch of people around me who don't want greater for themselves. I want people around me who are self-motivated. And in the industry I work in as a travel agent, I like to build with people who can think out the box and understand what human relations is all about, because that's where the real value is. And by the way, if you want to become business, if you want to get started, become a part and leave the enrollment link in the chat. If there's something you're interested in, you go ahead and enroll, and you can explore the most attractive industry, which is the travel industry, and see if it's something for you, right? But I want to make this very clear. There's a lot of opportunities out there for like-minded people. Yeah, as soon as the stream ends, I'm going to leave the link in the description box because I see people saying they're interested. Well, it's a very rewarding and fulfilling industry and opportunity. And I've always been someone who can kind of see things ahead of time. Somebody said that they're messing with the connection. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Deuteronomy 8:18. But remember the Lord your God, for he is who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Exactly. The Lord your God gives you the ability to produce wealth. All right, I see the ones. Some people are probably wondering how I got involved with the travel industry. Yep, that's having foresight. Well, first and foremost, brothers and sisters, you all know I've done land walks. I've done a lot of communal work. I mean, you name it, man. We've done it. And of course, we got land that we own, over 110 acres. And, we would try to do these fundraiser events. And the only issue is people just don't be having paper like that, which is understandable. And just a couple families, it's very difficult to develop an entire land. So we found the perfect vehicle to get the money together, to actually build with like-minded people, to get it together, to do, of course, do whatever it is they want to do. It's not just like they're trying to do the land, but making paper together is the answer. So that's how I came across that as a perfect vehicle to make sure that happens. Instead of, like, I could easily do a GoFundMe and crowdfund, or go to the government and let them take over the land, or take money from this, or go get a 501c3 and tax exemptions and build a church. We could do all of that. But no, we're going to keep it grassroots with everything we do. But anyway, I digress. Proverbs 11:25, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Absolutely. Absolutely. But anyway, nonetheless, man, this was a phenomenal broadcast. I'm going to be leaving that enrollment link in the description box if you're interested in joining the travel industry. Of course, I got more material coming, man. Y'all be blessed out here. I'll be chopping it up with y'all later. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you for spending your time here. More material coming soon. Peace.